Hi, the Brisbane Broncos play the Melbourne Storm this Sunday afternoon to decide the 2025 Premiership. So welcome to the last preview of the year. They don't get much bigger than this, and I've never been so excited for a game. Enough to write all night, the hourglass is still slow. And here's the thing, see if you can pick this week's theme. I'll reveal it at the end. Let's go, lights, camera, action with no makeup. Broncos play their third grand final in 3 weeks, Melbourne their second in 2 years, and the Broncos come in as underdogs once again. I don't think there's any need to hide my bias here. I genuinely think the Broncos can win this game. The elements are airborne, I smell the success, and this game is absolutely stuffed with narrative. First, the narrative I've been pushing that this represents the finale of the hero's journey, the Broncos season fitting squarely into the 17-stage monomyth, and after defeating their nemesis last week and obtaining redemption, it's time to return with the elixir. Since the bottoming out of the season happened against their grand final opponent, with them since going through a period of evolution and return, powering up, they've learned too much, they've seen too much now, and they won't be beaten by the big bad this time. So Bellamy, get ready to be hit by this father-son Kamehameha as Reece Walsh and Ben Hunt show you they are not losing another grand final. So let's cookie cut this and get the gingerbread, man. Then you've got the Storm coming back for their second attempt after falling short in last year's grand final 14-6, plus a little nugget that the video referee that decided the Howarth no try is none other than Grant Atkins, who has the whistle in this one. Then, of course, there's the whole Storm Broncos history. Very briefly includes Bellamy's time as a Broncos assistant, Madge formerly being his assistant, then Broncos recruitment whiffing on all of Cronk, Slater, Smith, not properly securing Inglis's signature, Munster and Grant both wanted to be Broncos but were overlooked, Xavier Coates was a Bronco, more recently Howarth was at school in Toowong and no one knew about it, Broncos scouts hate GPS rugby. And now there's a new one, Stefano versus whoever he thinks is too stuck up and all these Broncos players he doesn't like. And who let this man speak? First he came out saying something negative about the Titans and like, yeah, whatever, that's a free space. No one cared when he said that. Now he's coming out with these two Mike rhymes. And since he was too cat to name names, it could apply to anyone from Brisbane, including his opposite number, Payne Haas, who eats props like part of a complete breakfast. And Stefano literally carries Haas's water for him. Could he really be talking about Payne as the guy who he wants to run at from the first kickoff? Because Mam and Walsh aren't going to be at that first contact. I guess Stefano saw Haas play 80 minutes with bulk meters and no missed tackles and was like, no, the guy actually sucks. Okay, buddy, remember when the ball is on the line that you're supposed to attempt to tackle this game. If there's anything that's certain about this one, it's that Payne Haas is going to have a massive game. He's still got that cut above his eye that he had when he ran down Cleary, and the danger in his eye will let you know he's a brawler. And Melbourne really don't have anything to stop him. Stefano isn't good enough, and King is on the field. And the only bad Origin game in Harry Grant's life came in game 1 when he had to tackle Haas 30 times. So Melbourne, bring your tallest champs and make them that much taller. And Haas adds one thing to his Penrith performance that he didn't have in that game. Pat Carrigan is back. Everything Carrigan gives them is a plus. He's good for 150 meters, 40 tackles, which isn't even the most important thing that he does. It's his action as the fulcrum in the middle of the field that allows the Broncos to go from edge to edge so quickly, which they lacked in last week's game. That's back. Especially since the Broncos want to attack Melbourne's edges, having Carrigan at first receiver lets everyone set up and for him to read and react, and more specifically for Walsh to get out and run. Walsh will be heard from in this game like any other, and Melbourne will have spent a lot of time watching what the Panthers did to slow him down, and Penrith got nearly everything right, defended Walsh the best of any team since he returned from his PCL injury and put the rest of the team on his back, and he still beat them. This is a different guy than the 23-game final. This is a guy who can boot a ball directly into the upright, costing his team the chance to make it a 2-point game, so he just runs through 5 players to throw a no-look offload. He's always had the insanity, but now he's got resilience too. Now, number 6 on the other team, he might be the same, and he's playing in his 6th grand final, and I'm terrified of him. Broncos and Storm have played each other twice this season and split the record, and there's a couple of things to take from those games. The first isn't hugely representative of what we'll see on Sunday. Joe Chan was in centres, Meaney was on the other side of the field, Gashevsky was in for Piakura, and 21 minutes into the game, the Broncos lost 3 players to the same injury on the same play. But prior to that, there were all the signs of a classic which we were denied. Broncos' scramble defense was excellent, Carrigan was getting into the line and playing at the last possible millisecond, Haas was rampaging early, and Walsh was everywhere. But all of that cratered quickly. The second game, the Storm were missing Grant, Stefano, and Hughes only played 25 minutes. Also, Pappenhausen played really bad, but the basic approach that the Broncos had in that game and the way that they started both of those games hot out of the blocks is something that they'll try and do again on Sunday. Melbourne is also a team that likes to start strong, so the first 20 minutes of this game will be huge, but everyone cools off from being hot. It's about how you can handle being cold or not. So far, in 174 minutes of finals football, the Broncos have led for 13 and a half of them, mostly from the Stags try in week 1. So if there's a team that can handle being cold, it's the Broncos. And so there's no need to worry if this game stretches out to double digits in the advantage of the Storm, but for everyone's benefit and my health, I'd love it if another comeback wasn't necessary, but this team prefers to stroll through a misty field than to take the road well traveled, and I don't think this game ends without some kind of drama. And I'm sorry to be boring, but because the Storm's weaknesses are on the edges, the way that the Broncos win this is by keeping the ruck moving, getting Katoa and Bloor involved on tackles on Haas, Jensen and Carrigan, then letting Walsh decide where to go next. One thing I noticed from the second game, the one that the Broncos won, was that Walsh was much more involved around the ruck than he usually is, just backing up Haas rather than playing in the space that he creates. That's a bit more a Melbourne tactic than a Brisbane one. You'll see Pappenhausen and Munster, actually Hughes too, always floating around the ruck and wherever Harry Grant is, ready to play quickly based on what he sees in the moment. Walsh had some moments in the Penrith game where he came close to breaking through a bit narrower when he was running at Cleary, and the Broncos had a whole lot of success running at Munster in their second matchup, so watch for Walsh hanging around early in the tackle count. Jordan Rickie's job again will be primarily defense and protecting Reynolds. He's been playing game-winning defense these finals, but he might need a big running game too. Actually, Rickie has been owed a try from Reynolds for a couple of weeks when he very nearly went through and scored the game-winning try against the Eels. Going back and watching that attempt again, they had Walsh, Staggs and Arthurs deep, and Reynolds went short instead, and surely they would never do that now. Not with Staggs in the form he's in, with Mariner in place of Arthurs and Walsh powered by toilet water. So what if they do? Maybe it's just wish fulfillment, but I can see the Broncos using Melbourne's signature play against them. The same could go for the other side of the field, but Piakura's job in this game is mainly run directly at Jerome Hughes every single time he has the ball, and foul Eli Katoa so hard we never even see him attempt a kick chase. Brisbane will have a rule on defense: punk jump and get your dunk smacked. Foul, we all know the rules, bro. But can Grant Atkins, who is a much more permissive referee, call them all? I don't think so. Both Broncos wingers have been solid under the high ball these last couple of weeks, but they are coming up against two of the best aerial threats in the game. So as long as Staggs doesn't get sent off, which would be a disaster, he's going to be, whoops, I just so happen to be here on every single Xavier Coates kick chase. Shibasaki, or now Chinesaki, is going to have another job to do against Howarth, and that's just a fun narrative. The prodigy who was probably supposed to play Origin this year if he wasn't injured, and the guy on the train and trial that actually played in the game winner. Gemak can hold his own against anyone. He outplayed the Dally M Centre of the Year twice this season, the one not his teammate, and I have every confidence in him holding back Howarth. Hopefully another week's return for Ezra sees his passing game a little stronger. It was a touch rusty and a couple of his passes were just a touch off, but Ezra's been there, run that. It puts the Broncos in a bit of an uncomfortable position because normally Ezra is so dominant on that edge, but the Broncos looked incredible with Walters playing second fiddle to Walsh. And Ezra can do that too, but you still want him to play his natural game because he's so good at that. So just go out there and play what you see, but also play what Walsh sees, and also probably play better defense and watch for Piakura's tackling in the middle of the field. And if you could score 3 tries again, that would be ideal. For Melbourne, what are they going to do? I don't know, probably cheat. I kid, but also they have 3 nuclear level threats that terrify me in Grant, Munster and Hughes in that order. Hughes only because he's still injured, even if he's palming dudes off and scoring with a broken arm. The Storm's structured play is good enough that they could probably win a title, and those 3 improvising just makes them better. Grant only needs one quick play the ball to get going, so it's going to take another effort like they gave defending Cleary, the best defense they've ever played, this weekend. I don't think we've seen the best of the Storm yet in these finals. They were taken within 5 minutes by the Dogs in week 1. Then the Sharks were building towards something last week until Nico dropped the ball cold in the middle of the park. But this is their best lineup. They have plenty of grand final experience. They'll be motivated, wanting their own redemption, but get in line, pal. There's a guy here who's been waiting for atonement since 2015, who's been in the game as long as he can wheelie a Schwinn, and he will not lose. There's a medal to Ben Hunt in these final series. He's been playing with a level of ticker so high that when they attempted to record it against Penrith, it broke the meter. I think he'll have a huge impact on this game. Another guy in that category who was a big part of winning them the game last week with a catch, a kick, and an offload is Tyson Smoothy, and I think that he's been rightly rewarded for his effort with that last spot on the bench in this one. The last 2 games, I've had a sense of nervous excitement heading into it, that I've been confident in the team, but I'm unsure how they'll manage their opponent. And while this week is no less difficult, the nerves are more settled for me because we've seen them slay 2 giants already. What's a third? And with Carrigan, Haas, Shibasaki, Hunt, Reynolds, Smoothie all keen to finish the season the right way, I mean, here's a couple of nice guys that finished first, so nice try, but the prize is ours, disperse. And that'll do for the last preview of the season. I'll finish with thanks. Thank you for watching this and the previews and yap-ups. The last 2 months of this has been pretty wild. I feel like I've really been building something just as the season's about to end. And the theme, if you haven't already guessed it, was incorporating lyrics Rock Rack Flow by De La Soul featuring MF Doom. Doom's part of a complete breakfast line is one of my favorites of all time, so I wanted to use that for Haas, and then I just kind of expanded out. I also love this moment when Doom enters this performance and flows straight into his verse. I watch it all the time. I miss him. Rip Doom. Do it for Doom, Broncos, and also do it for the difference. All right, bye.
From the top of the key for 3 villains. Yeah. Been on in the game as long as he can willie a swing. Hey. Turn the corner, spinning, bust that ass and get up. Dust off the mask, whoever laughed, give him a head up. Hey. He got jumped, it pumped his adrenaline. They said it made him tougher than a bump of raw medicine. To write all night long, the hourglass is still slow. Flow from hell, born through free power like Lil Co. And still owe bills, pay dues forever. Yeah. Slay crews when it comes to who's more cleverer. Used to war leather goose V with the fur collar. And charge a fee for loose leaf, word per dollar, you heard holla. Broader dude, we need food. Eat your team for sure, these streets all seem rude. For fam like the partridges, part of him for the mix-up. Battle for your Atari cartridges, or put your kicks up, it's a stick up.